Hi, this is Sharon at fitandfun.com, and I'm still soaking my feet, and I got bored, so now I'm looking at 99 ways to get your kids to love writing, which I've used a lot for myself, not even for my son. It just gives me some tips. And this one I'm going to look at right here is, it says, if you have a fluent, independent writer, so you have a kid that writes on their own, realize that if your children become especially interested in writing and you are good at writing, you may have to be the one to act as their writing mentor. So you need to push them to do it, and that's what my dad did for me. I've said this in a few videos now, that growing up, my father constantly, when I would tell him stories, he would say, I want you to write that down. I want you to write that down. And he would even try to stop me from talking and to make me write it down. And I wish, and we certainly had no idea that I was visual as far as either photography or drawing. I think I've been thinking back on my life, writing my one book right now, and I know that as a child, like we'll talk, young up till about 12, I was doing drawing, and I've always been a doodler, and when I talk accounting, I always have to draw a picture of it, and some people really get annoyed by that, but I can't think in accounting. When I'm figuring something out, I have to be drawing pictures of it. And I definitely draw maps of every place I've ever been all the time. I used to send my dad maps of where I was living whenever I was on the run. He'd be like, great. If I have to get down a dirt road and find you, I'll know where the living room is. So it's just how I am. And the thing with your kids is you have to keep pushing them, because they're getting the other side of it from everybody else, which is don't waste your time, don't worry about writing it down, who cares, it's not important. And the things that mean the most to me are writing that I come across that's 4 or 10 or 20 years old, and I'm like, wow, I wrote that. And I have a file in my computer called 2004 Rant, and it was this one day, a lot of bad things were happening. I don't know if I wrote it in one day, but it's about 4,000 words, and it is a rant, and I just go off on every single person I knew at the time, back in 2004, and tell them exactly what I think. And I know I wasn't doing that in person, because I was, talking to coworkers and bosses and neighbors and everyone who was bothering me at that time. And the whole thing went on, like it just kept changing topic. And now this person, duh. And now this person, duh. And I think, first of all, that had to be therapeutic to have done it at the time. No matter what horrible things came out, at least they came out in my writing and not in my life. And second, it's just something good to look back on, because the first time I found it was probably in like 2010, so it was 6 years, and I wasn't even in any of those jobs or any of those relationships anymore. And it was very funny to read the kind of things that were bothering me. And of course I had my son, so he was younger, and he was probably about 12 or 13, and he just hated me when he was that age. So there was a lot of stuff about there, and I wasn't too fond of him either, because he was getting bigger and very much like me, and very determined in his ways. So everything I said was wrong and bad, and everything he said was outrageous. And I tried to be as understanding as I could, but it all came out in that one rant, and I'm glad I have it. So for your kids, it's the same thing. They've got something going on. And I had, before I had my son, I had a stepson from his age was 8 to 18, and I always told him to write down stuff too, and he's thanked me for that one. So you never know. Be a mentor to your kids. Be sure to fit in fun no matter what you're doing.